Right, we are live. If anyone in the chat, please let me know if you can see me and hear me. Hopefully, I'll be able to see the chat as it comes up on the screen. I'm just doing a spontaneous live stream. We have one person viewing at the moment, so that's good. Q&A. Ask me anything you would like, and I will answer. Looks kind of different than I'm used to now, so let's see. I don't do this that often. Just making sure I can see all the chat. So if someone's watching, can you please just say something, and I'll just make sure that the chat comes up on the screen for me. It's Sunday. I've been doing stuff all day, but no training today. I usually have my schedule for the week so that I have all my training done in the 6 days, Monday to Saturday, and then I have a rest day on Sundays. I just find that really works well for me. All right, so the chat is working. Kagan Gurkhan Kalafat. Hi there. Thanks for commenting. So yeah, I do a rest day on Sunday, and today I've been pretty busy doing all kinds of stuff, which is not ideal. Ideally, I would try to just really relax on my rest day. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense, right? To have a rest day and then be like super active. So I try my best to just rest and be relaxed on my rest day to get the most out of it. Dare I asks, hi bro, how to reduce oxidative stress? Well, oxidative stress is of course part of just being alive. And so it's natural to have some of that happening, and certainly with exercise you get a lot of it. But then just eating healthy, getting lots of fruits and vegetables in your diet, of course, will contribute to reducing oxidative stress by the nature of antioxidants, right? That's the point of antioxidants. They neutralize free radicals. So I would say that probably the best way to reduce oxidative stress is to just eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, greens, fruits of all kinds, and that sort of thing. Nudea, how to avoid blisters when running. What shoes do you recommend? Blisters, well, the best way I think is to wear Injinji toe socks. That's what I do. It's the socks where you have one little thing for each toe, and that way the toes aren't rubbing against each other. So that's one way. And of course you need to sort of have a shoe that feels good and that fits you well. Otherwise it can sort of create hot spots where you can get blisters. And then in terms of what running shoes to choose, that's really dependent on the person. So it's very individual. And I recommend going to a running specialty store where you can get an expert to help you out choosing the best shoe for you. Okay. Generally, personally, I enjoy Hoka shoes. I used to run in Ultra shoes, but all the big brands as well, like Nike and Asics and Brooks and all of those, they have great shoes as well. So it's really a matter of finding a shoe that fits you, and to do that, you need to try shoes on in the store in order to know. So that's what I recommend. I see that the chat is it quickly disappears. So I see the message and then, oh, there it is. Okay. I figured out how to bring them back. Derai says I inspired him to take fruits. Well, that's good. Next question from Gareth. Hey man, how you doing? I'm good, thank you. How are you? I've been watching your channels for years now, and I just want to thank you for your gem of information about true nutrition. Thank you, Gareth. I appreciate that. I like sharing. I love sharing what I'm passionate about, and nutrition and health is certainly one of those things. Currently, it's more towards the running side of things, but still trying to put out some content regarding nutrition as well. So thanks for letting me know that. Shivam Thakur says, hi man, and hello to you too. I've just received the sun in my forehead. That's not really ideal. Let's just fix that. Well, there we go. Yeah, any questions while I was gone there? No. Boom, boom, boom. More questions. Give me more questions. Running related, nutrition related, health, anything. Something you want to know about me, whatever you want to know, just shoot. It's warming up now here in Norway, gradually getting towards summer, which is really nice. Shivam wants to know, where are you from? I am from Norway. I'm from here, where I am now. It's a town outside of Oslo, the capital, but it's very country surroundings here, very beautiful nature, etc. But yeah, I'm from Norway, and my grandmother was French. So my mom's mother, she was French. So I'm a quarter French, or technically Corsican, which is technically Italian. So yeah, let's call it Mediterranean. And then the rest of me is just Norwegian mostly. Tirai, what do you do to keep your mental state up during stressful times? That's a good question, and certainly a challenge that we all face. Being positive in the face of challenges can be difficult for sure. I don't know that I've figured it out completely, but what I try to do is, well, one thing that I know is very powerful, and I've done a little bit myself, is to think about what you're grateful for, right? So before you go to bed, it's very easy to sort of mull over all the things that are difficult in your life, and just to go to bed with that sort of, what am I going to do about this and this and this, and your brain is just like going, trying to figure out what you're going to do about all your problems and things like that. And I've been dealing with some stuff like that myself over the last year. I think everyone is probably going through a little bit of a strange time nowadays with the pandemic and everything. So I figured out that if I go to bed, before going to bed at night, I sort of try and think about the things that I'm grateful for, the things that are good in my life, bringing my focus towards that instead of the difficulties is really powerful, I think. And of course, also, if you have challenges, just taking some time to systematically plan how you're going to solve them. Sometimes we can't solve them, right? Like we lost a loved one, or there's just something really sad or difficult. We can't do anything about it. Well, then we just have to sort of go through it and not resist it, and just accept it and grow from it. But the things that we can change, we should try and do something about it systematically. So that would be my approach. Next question, Kagan. I have been trying to develop morning runs habit for a long time, but I cannot not succeed. What would you suggest? Okay, so you've been trying to develop the habit of running in the morning, but you haven't succeeded yet. Well, what can I say? This is going to sound harsh, but I think this is the best advice I could give on this topic. If you want something, you need to stop trying and just do it, right? So you don't want to negotiate with yourself in the morning and be like, should I do it or not? Or I would like to run, but the weather isn't really great, or I'm not feeling so good. If you're deciding you want to run in the morning, then you need to run in the morning, and just essentially force yourself to do it. Just get out there and do it when you're supposed to do it, and see how you like it. Over time, you build a habit, and when you build habits, you get it becomes a habit naturally. So, and when something is a habit, it doesn't require effort as much. So I suggest trying to get over the hump of initially there's some resistance to new habits, and then you just got to insist that I am running in the morning, and that's just how it's going to be, and then see how that goes for you. Next question. Nudea. How should you determine your weekly running mileage? I run 5 to 7 kilometers daily at 4.45 minutes per kilometer pace. Well, that's a pretty fast pace. You're either very fit or you're running maybe a little too hard, perhaps, for optimal development. I would maybe suggest that instead of running at the same pace every day, you take it very easy on most days, and then twice a week you might run a little bit longer or a little bit harder, right? So you have like 2 quality days per week, and the rest of the time is easy, to get this polarized effect where you train really hard or you stress your body quite a lot one day, and then you allow it to recover over the next few days, running easy. And then you come back a few days later, do another quality session. That's definitely something I would recommend. 4:45 is pretty fast. If that's your easy pace, then you are incredibly fit. You're fitter than I am. If it's feeling pretty hard, then perhaps doing what I suggested would be a better idea. In terms of determining weekly mileage, though, that really depends on your goals, right? So you're currently running 5 to 7 kilometers per day. 5, 10, calculating while I'm on the live stream is difficult. How many kilometers is that per week? 35k per week minimum, up to I guess 45 or something. So yeah, that's the decent mileage. If you want to get faster and if you want to improve further, you need to add another stress, and that could be in the form of doing what I just said, adding in some more quality workouts perhaps, running even faster yet on some days and slower on others, and increasing the load on some of the days. Or it could be increasing the mileage. And in terms of how much to run, I mean, some people run 200 miles a week, 300 kilometers a week. I mean, there's no, well, there are limits, of course, to how much you can handle in a day, or how much you can handle in a week, or how much you can handle in general as a person, and you have your individual genetics, etc. So you have to, of course, take it very slowly and gradually and build up. But if you're happy with the fitness that you're at now and you're just running for health reasons, then the mileage, the amount of running that you currently described is really really great for just maintaining health and being pretty fit. So that's good. Next question. How long do you run daily on average? On average, I mean, it depends, right? Like, I was up to 100 kilometers per week a couple of years ago. That was the highest I've been. Currently, I'm building up after some injury issues. So I'm currently at 60 kilometers per week, and I run 6 days a week and I have one rest day. So that would make my daily average 10 kilometers on those 6 days, and a little bit less if you include the average for the 7 days. So currently running 60 kilometers a week, and by the end of the year, I hope to be back to 100 kilometers per week, which would then be, I guess, an average of, I don't know, 15, 16 kilometers per day, something like that. SFTCRE asks, what are some business ideas you have? Let's see. Sorry, the chat disappears all the time. So business that you wish you had more time to invest in developing them. Oh, that's a cool question. Some business ideas that I have that I would like to do, but I don't have time for yet. Well, it would be nice. Actually, I am working on creating an ebook. So that's one thing. It's coming out fairly soon. I would like to create more training plans that are a little bit more affordable, that are not customized, just like standardized training plans. That's a business idea I have. Well, I guess it's not a business idea. It's more like within my business already. In terms of like new business ideas, completely different sort of things, I don't have that many ideas, I think. Sometimes I play around with the idea of how would my life be if I was just doing something completely different, right? Like what would I do if I wasn't running? And if I wasn't running, I would probably do, like, if I wasn't interested in like fitness and running, etc., I'm thinking I would probably want to work some kind of normal little job, like in a shop or something, just where you meet people. And I would like to do it just like 2 or 3 times a week. And the rest of the time I would spend on, life and housework and socializing and reading and learning things and of course activities and sports and stuff like that. And one of the yeah, and then another thought I guess would be like if I was going to have a career in something else, I've often thought it would be cool maybe to be an ambulance driver. I don't know if that's what you call it in English. Well, the person who drives the ambulance and helps people survive. That seems like a pretty cool job. Otherwise, I don't have that many business ideas, or maybe I do, but it would be boring for me to sit and think for like 5 minutes to come up with all of those ideas. But good question. Next, Murillo Kuna, do you prefer running by yourself or with other people? Well, that's an easy question. I definitely prefer running by myself. For me, which maybe you understand if you look at this channel being called Lone Endurance, I enjoy the lonely aspect of being a distance runner, not in a negative sense, but in a positive sense. It's a time out from busyness and from interacting with other people and from doing, and you're just zoning out and you're by yourself out there in nature or out there in the world, and it's just a really nice time. I really enjoy training by myself, and I do that most of the time. Same goes for like workouts. If I'm doing a quality session, I prefer being alone most of the time because I don't need someone to motivate me. I'm fully motivated. If anything, I need to be held back, and I try to do that myself. But I find that when I'm training with others, I can sometimes get a little bit distracted during quality sessions, which it's fine during an easy run to be distracted with a friend. But if you're going out on a hard run or a quality session, you need to be focused, and in that sense, I find it difficult to do that if I'm running with someone. But yeah, like once a week or something like that, I enjoy running with a friend, and I certainly do enjoy social runs. But my favorite is probably still going to be running alone. Dear I, are you still having a major portion of your diet from fruits? Is it sustainable in the long term? Good question. I think it's definitely sustainable in the long term. I mean, our ancestors, they were eating fruit for millions of years, and then of course, yeah, evolution happens. And well, I'm not going to get into the whole evolution talk, but my point is that for a long time it has been sustainable for ancestors of us, and I think currently today in this day and age with this body, I think also it is sustainable, but only if you're getting high quality fruits, fruits that are nutritious and tasty and ripe, fresh. And that's kind of difficult outside of the tropics. You can do it, and some places are better than others in terms of getting imported fruit and stuff. Here in Norway, I've found that it's not very easy. I did it for a few years, and it was very difficult to sort of rely on the fruit. And so I've found a sort of happy medium, a compromise, if you will, where I rely on other cooked foods as well, but still, of course, vegan. In terms of like how much of my diet is fruit, I would like in terms of calories, I would probably say it's not that high right now. 20%, 30%. Yeah. So basically I'm eating a lot of fruit, lots of bananas, lots of apples, pears, grapes, blueberries, and of course lots of vegetables as well, as I'm cooking sweet potatoes and things like that, which are very similar to fruit in their nutrient composition. I would like to eat more fruit, but it's just I've tried it so much here in Norway, and I just find that I always just fall back on the bananas, which are great. I can eat a lot of bananas, but that's not. That's the only thing that's really reliable here. So if I was in the tropics, it would be a different story, I guess. Gareth, did you see your old videos brought up on a happy healthy vegan video a few weeks ago. Be really cool if you maybe talk with him about cooked whole foods. Yes, I did see that video. I was like, oh, there I am in the thumbnail. And then I watched the video. I don't want to engage in sort of debate, to be honest. I thought, just to sort of quickly comment on it though, I thought that he had some good points. Of course, we all evolve and we all learn. And I think I looked back at that video and I was thinking, well, yeah, there are a few things that I said there maybe that are not, well, that I've maybe not changed my mind on, but like I could have said it in a better way, or maybe there wasn't that much evidence for one or two of the statements or whatever. But it was sort of like my videos has always been a projection of my philosophy to some extent, and I don't want to start every video by sort of disclaimer with a disclaimer saying, hey, blah 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 blah, this might not be right, or blah blah, this is just my thoughts or whatever. So I just make videos, and share my thoughts and my views on things, and that was one of those videos. I feel like a lot of things that I said there, though, was just basic statements that are, in my opinion, like undisputable. I've seen his videos. I mean, I'm generally a fan of Happy Healthy Vegan. I've been looking at their videos for years, and I like the vibe that they bring up. But he tends to make videos debunking people, and sometimes I enjoy them. Sometimes I find that he maybe, I don't know, like he sort of tries to find something to say against every single point that the other person says. A little bit like a little overkill, I guess. And I feel like he didn't really necessarily have good arguments, counter arguments to all that I've said. And some of the things he just misunderstood. Like for example, omega-3. I was talking about, well, I'm not going to get into it actually. I don't want to defend myself and try and debate the whole thing. I think he made one or two good points, mostly poor arguments in my opinion, and I just found it to be a little bit strange, to be honest. But yeah, what do you think? Let's see. Mobo, you're the reason why I'm raw vegan. Well, cool. What John has learned. J, whatever that means. Next, from what John has learned, any plans for travel when the borders open back up? Yes. I mean, the borders are open. You could travel here from Norway. Some people do that. It's just a lot of hassle, very inconvenient, I guess. I haven't traveled for over a year now, and it's been okay. And I think for now, definitely no travel plans, because it's summer coming on here in Norway, and I love summer in Norway. So there's no reason for me to go traveling anywhere. But when autumn comes around, I'm definitely going somewhere, probably in like November. South of France, Nice, perhaps, Palma, maybe. I would kind of like to go to the United States, but financially, I'm not really that solid. And I think it would be difficult to sort of pull off renting a house and stuff in Boulder or something like that for like 3 months, unless I can get a lot of people together and we can do it. That's a thought that I'm having. And at one point I will do this, go to Flagstaff or Boulder or whatever and do like a little bit of altitude training, try that out. And of course, explore the United States. I'm really curious. But for next winter, probably France. Probably, because that's where I'm used to going. Let's see. Softcore. Now I understand. Softcore wants to ask thoughts on athletic greens or supplements in general. Athletic greens. I don't know necessarily what that means, but if you mean like greens for athletes, well, greens are okay. I've never been a huge fan of greens. I think I don't see a reason, like if you're getting plenty of fresh fruit, I don't actually see a nutritional argument for including greens, honestly. I've never found that one nutrient that's missing from fruits that's somehow in greens. So that's always been something that I've sort of I don't know, like hasn't been completely sure about, because everyone's sort of pushing greens as like the best thing ever, and it doesn't feel natural to eat greens. Like it doesn't taste as great as fruit does. We're not like naturally drawn to eating lots of greens. But I am eating greens every day. I mean, I eat lettuce especially fresh every day, and sometimes, and then broccoli and things like that. I steam that up every day as well. So I think on a more normal diet, if you're not like a fruit eater in the tropics and you're eating a normal vegan diet, or even for anyone, just including broccoli and including lettuce and including various greens into your diet as an athlete, it's definitely good. Adds in, vitamin K, which is important for bone health, and all kinds of other nutrients too. So definitely positive to the greens in general. All right, and in terms of supplements, vitamins in general, well, I have a video coming up soon on, I don't know if I'll post it on both channels or it'll just go on Sweet Natural Living, but it's a video where I'll talk about supplements in depth, or the supplements that I'm taking anyway. But as a general statement, I would say supplements are great, because I mean, it's a way to modify and optimize your diet if you're not, and certainly for outside of the tropics, we're not getting sunlight exposure to the extent that we need. We're not getting B12 because we're not in the, touching soil and eating food without washing it. So we need B12 supplementation, we need vitamin D supplementation. And so already there's an argument for supplementation. So definitely supplements I'm in favor of supplements in general. Gareth, I think that when people have a problem about raw fruitarians, they take your old videos out of context to confirm their bias without understanding what you're actually saying. Couldn't have said it better myself. That is exactly what's going on, I think. It's easy to just sort of pick out a video or just pick out a statement and sort of interpret it in a weird way based on your own bias, like you say. And but I stand for like 80% of everything I've said, which is, that's really how it should be for almost anyone. Like if someone says I can stand for everything I said 100%, well, that probably means that you either haven't continued learning, or you're arrogant saying that you know everything. So I mean, 80% of what I've said in the past, I still think is true. 20% of it I've sort of gained new understanding of and deeper knowledge. And yeah, anyway. Next up. Softcore. Okay, Athletic Greens is a sponsored product by people like Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, Alex Honnold, the climber. Okay, I didn't know that. Well, I guess it's like a green powder or something. And I'm thinking, if it's like Green Boost, or if it's like something like a typical wheatgrass powder, or just like a green powder with lots of minerals and stuff, probably good. I mean, it's probably good. Why not? But I don't know that particular supplement though. Perplexed Moth. Only eating fruits don't satisfy me enough. I wonder if it's a matter of what I'm used to, or if my body needs other things like savory and salty taste. Big question. I think generally, probably a lot of it is what you're used to. A lot of it is that. I mean, when we're not, yeah, when we're trying new things, it's difficult sometimes to adjust, and we tend to go back to what we know. Right? That's how our brain works. So that could be part of it. Another part of it is, and probably the biggest part of it, I think, is that you haven't. I don't know your case exactly, and maybe you have, but if you haven't been to the tropics, or in Thailand or Costa Rica, or just where the fruit grows, and tried like absolute epic fruit, you haven't tried fruit really. That's the thing. You most people don't know what fruit is really like. So they say, how can you live on fruit? It's so boring. But they haven't tried real fruit, honestly. When you get quality fruit that's just like insanely tasty, right? Like tree ripened. And just because you're in the tropics doesn't mean you can automatically find good fruit, though. There's also bad fruit in Thailand, lots of bad fruit. You need to be able to pick it out as well. But good fruit never fails to satisfy. And as long as I get like quality fruit, in the tropics, I never crave anything else because it's so utterly satisfying. So yeah, I think it comes mostly down to the quality of the fruit you're eating. If you find that you're craving other things, and also some of it is what you're used to, and you can change what you're used to by insisting on a new habit. And there's one more element too, and that is if you're eating enough, because fruit has lower calorie density than most other foods, so you need to eat a lot more of the fruit, and it needs to be ripe and it needs to be sweet, so it's actually satisfying. If you eat enough of it and it's good quality, then it should satisfy and you shouldn't have those cravings. Read my book, The Little Banana Book. There's a link in the description of most of my videos. Look at another video and you'll see a link to my Little Banana Book where you can learn more. All right. Tom Kuyukin. Hi there, Tom. As a vegan in Norway, I often find it frustrating how far behind this country is. Yeah, I agree. Norway is obsessed with meat and dairy, and sometimes it feels like the 1970s. I agree. When I was listening to the Norwegian running podcast, I Det Lange Løp, their nutritionist talked about cheese and ham as if they were health foods for athletes. Yeah, frustrating. And I called the documentary Seaspiracy in a negative way, and when I have Christmas at my in-laws, it's a meat fest. Yes, normal. How do you stay positive and stop yourself from getting frustrated? Well, that's really simple, to be honest. I used to be frustrated, but now I just focus on myself instead of focusing on everyone else. It's not my job to change anyone or to force anyone to do anything else. And I accept that a lot of people out there, nutritionists, etc., including them, are maybe a little ignorant when it comes to certain aspects of nutrition and veganism, and you can't really blame them. They've been exposed to some information and they've not seen other information perhaps, and we're stuck in our ways. And with nutrition being like so intimate, we all have our preferences food wise, and it's very difficult. Most people, they love their food so much that they perhaps choose not to see the truth somehow. I think a lot of nutritionists sort of look at their science through the lens of an individual with food preferences, so that they steer towards they have a bias essentially, as opposed to if like you're dealing with a scientist talking about something more impersonal, then perhaps it's easier to be objective about it. I don't know, but yeah, my solution basically is just I don't worry about anyone else, including family members. If they want to know about veganism or anything like that, I can share. But otherwise, I focus on my own thing. And honestly, for me now, I'm focused on running. I'm focused on life and other things. And my diet is something like something more personal, I guess, that I don't really worry about talking to other people about. Bonus question: what do you say when people tell you only 3% of Norway can be used to grow fruit and vegetables? We need animal agriculture. I haven't had that question or that comment said to me any time. I didn't know that was the case, or if they say it's the case. We are in Norway. We're definitely far away from the tropics. We're not going to be able to grow fruit and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be able to understand that still, though, because you could just grow potatoes, you could grow, grains. Most of the grains grown in Norway, I'm looking at a big field right now, which is going to be growing grains soon. And, it's if you just gave the grains to people instead of giving them to animals and then eating the animals, doesn't make any sense that we couldn't do that. Gareth, I take the vegan multi-nutrient from Vivo Life. It's scientifically formulated for people on a plant-based diet. Do you think it's still too much, or just take B12, vitamin D, omega-3, and iodine? Multivitamins can be great way to sort of cover your bases, but you might not need all of those nutrients, and sometimes they sort of compete with each other. And I would say generally a multivitamin is a great way to go. Otherwise, you could get individual nutrients based on a sort of individualized approach. But yeah, multivitamin should be fine. Softcore, you're the reason I'm standing a little longer by the banana section at the Whole Foods looking for rounded tips instead of pointed tips. Good. Glad to hear that. Garrett, I can't imagine what real fruit tastes like. I want to try real papaya and mango. What's durian like? Number one rule is really eat enough whole food calories, in my opinion, then supplements what's left. Yeah, getting enough calories is key. Oh, donation, super chat. Thanks. Well, let's take one thing at a time. I'll get to that, but thank you. Just want to answer Gareth's question first. Can't imagine what real fruit tastes like. Well, I read that. Getting enough calories is key. I agree. Durian is off the charts, insane. You don't even know. Like, it's a different galaxy of taste. Okay, it's crazy. And yeah, papayas and mangoes is just, oh, it's amazing when you get good quality fruit. All right, so I'll get to your question, Donna, but first, Alexis de Prato just donated some money. Thank you. That's really appreciated. And he says, hello from France. I suffer from plantar fasciitis, heel pain, while walking or running. I run with Newtons, 3 to 4 millimeter drop. Yeah, I know those shoes. My mom, she has them too. Should my drop be more or less? Will orthotics help me? I'm stuck because I don't believe in higher drop or orthotics. All right. Well, here's my answer. I used to think that too. I didn't believe in orthotics. I didn't believe in high drop. Everything should be natural, right? Natural. Well, one of the things is that, well, one element is that we, I don't know about you, but I was pretty active growing up, but certainly we don't necessarily have perfect biomechanics, right? We might have had injuries in the past as kids growing up. These injuries and things can actually create problems in our kinetic chain so that we're not able to move optimally. And based on our strengths and weaknesses in terms of, like, maybe we have a weakness in a certain muscle, maybe there's imbalances, maybe one leg is longer than the other, maybe some of our tendons are too tight. I mean, a lot of these things we can work on them by doing strength training and doing physiotherapy and doing stretching and stuff like that. Some of those things, though, we can't really do anything about. They're just our biomechanical situation. And in those cases, using shoes to sort of compensate a little bit can be good, even though it's not natural. If we were just to run barefoot in that situation, we might have ended up more injured than if we wore shoes, for example. And also, we also don't necessarily run on perfect surfaces, right? So using shoes, I think, is a good tool. In terms of orthotics and the drop, I think that it depends a little bit on your natural foot strike. It's not just the forefoot strike that's natural, okay? Well, some people land on their heel and that's completely natural, okay? And it's actually a very efficient way to land. Those people that land on their heel usually have more knee and hip issues, whereas those landing on their forefoot usually have more foot and ankle issues. I'm of the latter type. And there's a principle in running and in life which totally makes sense, and that is adding in as much variation as possible into your training is really good. Okay, so the more variation you can have, the better. Because if you do one thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, there's a higher chance that you're going to sort of fatigue those particular tissues in that particular way and get an injury, right? And so in an effort to avoid that, we want to have as much variation as possible. We want to run different routes, maybe a little up and down, not just flat. We want to change up the paces a little bit, and we want to change up the shoes. Okay, and here's where the drop and the orthotics come in. I used to think, oh, orthotics, you put them into your shoe and they fix something, and then you just run with the orthotics all the time, and your foot becomes weak, and it's better to strengthen the foot and avoid the orthotics, right? Well, you're not supposed to run with the orthotics every day. Just like in order to be strong, if you want to lift heavy weights, for example, you can get pretty strong and get pretty good results by going to the gym twice a week. Okay, so 2 times a week you'll go to the gym. That will be enough to gain some serious strength if you do it right. You don't have to lift weights every single day. In fact, you probably shouldn't, or especially not on the same muscle group every single day. You want to recover as well. So here, this is kind of the same thing. What if you put in those orthotics in your shoes once or twice a week, just to add variation? So the orthotic is a way to sort of relieve some of the stress on some of the tissues on some days of the week. So one day you'll run in this shoe, another day you'll run in this shoe, and then the third day you'll put in the orthotics, and then the next day you'll take them out again. And then one day you'll have a shoe with a little bit higher drop, and then another day you'll have a shoe with a little bit lower drop. And that way you are adding variation to your running. I'm just gonna get a banana, I'm hungry. Banana time. So adding in variation is a good thing, and the orthotics and the drop, you can just sort of play around with it a little bit and use it on some days and not all of the days, just to give your legs a rest. So if you're really stressing your plantar fascia one day by maybe doing a really fast run, and perhaps also doing some physiotherapy exercises to strengthen your arch, which would be a good idea if you have plantar fasciitis. And then the next day you've stressed those tissues so much that now you need to recover. And in order to go out for a run without stressing those tissues, you put in some orthotics, and those tissues can relax while you're still building your aerobic system. And that's a good thing. And the next day you'll take the orthotic out again, and you can stress your plantar again. You just don't want to stress the same tissue every day in the same way. That's the really the point. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any further questions about that. And thank you again for your donation. Donna, hi Mikkel, what are your thoughts on the COVID vaccine? Which one are they offering in Norway? Good question. They had the AstraZeneca vaccine, but they've stopped it because of like blood clot issues. I gotta chew. And now they're doing the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine. And my thoughts on it, I'm very conflicted. I haven't, it's difficult to make up my mind. I'm open to the idea of vaccines being good, but I'm also very skeptical. And I've had a really bad experience myself in the past with vaccines. So I'm not going to take it because I'm too worried about the side effects. But I think, based on the statistics, for most people, it's probably fine, right? So, and the risk to benefit ratio for most people is probably safer to take the vaccine than to risk getting sick. I don't know. To be perfectly honest, I spend most of my time looking at other stuff. I'm not so focused on the pandemic situation. Nordic Thunder. Here in Denmark, we have a bunch of different fruits. That's good. We have a bunch of different fruits here too in Norway, but it's just the quality is really poor on most of it. So if you want to rely on it as your main calorie source, it's a little bit difficult. But bananas are great, always. Softcore, do you mind sharing your experiments with cold therapy for recovery? Not recommended, actually, because cold therapy, I haven't done it much myself, but the thing is, it actually stops the training effect. That's what it does. When you do ice baths and stuff after training, you reduce inflammation, you reduce muscle soreness, but that's because you reduce the effects of the training. You reduce the reaction in the muscle, and that inflammation and that sort of soreness, it's there because there's something going on in the muscle, and that's where the adaptations are taking place. That's why you went training. You went training to stimulate, to stress the muscle, to stimulate adaptation so that you get fitter. And if you take an ice bath, you you actually attenuate. Is that the right word? You limit those processes. So it's actually only probably useful in a situation where you have a race one day and then you have a race 2 days later, right? Where you need to quickly recover, but you're blunting the training effect. So for recovery, yeah, you'll recover faster, but you'll have less adaptations and you'll get less out of your training. So I don't recommend it. Gareth Cook, I'm growing my facial hair, but can't stop eating the mo accidentally. I don't want to keep trimming it. Any tips? Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't really, it doesn't happen that much for me, actually. It's my mustache sort of just stands out so far that it doesn't get into my mouth when I'm eating, actually, most of the time. Or maybe it does, but I'm just unaware because I'm so used to it, so I don't think about it. But yeah, when I do cut it, sometimes I do that, and it does feel good. It does feel good, but it looks cool to have a mustache. So keep working at it, growing it. We're gonna try and wrap it up now. Alexis, perfect answer. Please don't delete this live so I can take more notes of what you said. I will definitely leave this live stream up. And by the way, if you have any more questions or something like that, you could just send me an email. If you go to my website at mgjcoaching.no, you can find me a contact form there, and you can send me a message there. If you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you there. Montalban Jr., hi there. Healthy habits or vaccines? I totally agree, but I mean, if you know, if you're, it doesn't matter if you have healthy habits if you're infected with a virus. Well, of course, it will matter to some extent, right? Like you'll probably be much better able to handle being infected by a virus, whatever it is, than someone who has poor health habits. So for sure, it's like I totally agree. Healthy habits is like number one. Your strong immune system will help you much more. But if you're dealing with like a deadly virus, which of course maybe the coronavirus can be deadly for some people, and if you're dealing with something like rabies, which is what I was bitten by a dog and we suspected maybe there's rabies there, and I took the rabies vaccine. No amount of immune system strength can handle rabies. Okay, in that situation, you have to have the vaccine. You need the antibodies, and your body can't make them in time. So there are certainly situations where I see the vaccine as beneficial, but I totally agree. The society is just based on symptom treatment, and like there's no focus on building health and building the immune system. So you definitely have a good point. Perplexed moth, blueberries are good too. Yes, I agree. I eat a lot of blueberries. Alexis, what your opinion on Lauren Lockman? I think we are 100% fruit eaters and we should only eat fruits and salad. Your opinion? Yeah, I like Lauren Lockman. I think most of what he has to offer in terms of information seems pretty solid, pretty logical, rational stuff. But some of it I find I disagree with strongly. And some of the things that he recommend, like calorie intake and stuff, I think he says he eats like 1,200 calories a day and stuff. And he's into that calorie restrictive sort of mindset and fasting, which I think probably can do more harm than good. That's my opinion. But he has a lot of good advice, but I generally don't agree with everything he has to say. But then again, I don't really agree with everything anyone has to say. That, you know, there's always room for like an individual opinion. But yeah, I do agree. We should definitely, like, humans are natural frugivores. We thrive on fruit and some greens. Yes, I agree. If the fruit is great and we get lots of variety, though, but we can still be very healthy with a whole food plant-based diet, in my opinion. It's just the difference is not that big, and cooking some of the food is not really that big a deal, in my opinion. But yeah, but I mean, I definitely do agree though that fruit is optimal. Mktov, how do you schedule nutrition during ultras? 4 hours plus. Okay, I'm gonna say stop now at the most of. If anyone has any more questions, we're gonna have to wrap it up now. So I'm just gonna try and finish the last 2 questions, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So thanks for not posting that many more questions. 4+ hour ultras, yes. I would recommend looking up Asker Jukendrup. Okay, ASKERJEUKENDRUP, I think. Asker Jukendrup. He's a scientist focusing a lot on carbohydrate fueling during exercise, etc. And he's really a great researcher. I would look into his work. And he says that for long races, it's advisable to take in pretty large amounts of carbohydrates, up to about 90 grams per hour. But if you're taking in 90 grams per hour, you need to combine glucose and fructose in a particular way in order to be able to absorb it all. So you need to sort of look into that. But it really comes down to sugar. You need to get sugar into your system to keep replenishing glycogen and keeping your blood sugar stable and enhancing performance. Protein and fat doesn't really make sense because it just takes too long to exit the stomach. It wouldn't really contribute that much during a race. So focus on carbohydrate foods. If it's a long, slow ultra, you could definitely get away with eating normal foods. Like bananas are great. You can eat potatoes. You can eat bread and stuff that you are familiar with. And yeah, so definitely just focus on the carbohydrates. Focus on getting enough water. And not too much water either. You don't want to get into hyponatremia, which is a very dangerous situation where you drink too much water and you dilute your sodium levels. So yeah, water, sugar, and perhaps some salt, optimized for you, individualized for you. That's how you need to do it. Good luck. Last few things. Gareth, thank you very much for your time. You're welcome. It seriously helped me. Glad to hear that. I can still eat quite well in the southwest of England, so I'm very happy. Hope your brothers will also have a great day. Thanks, Garrett, for tuning in. Yes, I think England is definitely better. When I've been visiting London and stuff like that, I've seen that the fruit there is a little bit better than what I get here in Norway. A little bit more variety, a little bit better prices and stuff. So glad to hear that. And last question, Alexis. I have a lot of questions for you. I can pay for your time for answer by emails. Is it possible? Yes, sure. We can do that. Or we can do a coaching session even if you want to. We could set up an actual video call where we discuss these things. So again, go to my website, Alexis, mgjcoaching.no. And at the bottom, there's a contact form and you can send me an email there. Otherwise, you could go to Instagram. My name is there. If you just go to any of my other videos, you'll find that there's a link to my Instagram in the description. And you can go there, send me a direct message there, or I'm sure you'll find a way to contact me and we will figure out something in terms of an email exchange or email coaching kind of thing, or if we do a full coaching session. To all you other great people, thanks for joining in on this live stream. Thanks for your great questions. Hope you're doing well. I'm a little tired now, to be perfectly honest. Live streams are a little, they demand a lot of energy. And so I'm glad I had this banana to keep me going. Now I'm gonna cook dinner. I'm cooking spaghetti. So I'll have spaghetti, and then I'll make a sauce with tomato, of course, sweet potato, carrots, leeks, and I think that's it. And then I'll have some pea protein isolate on top to sort of make it fancy and tasty and to get some extra protein in. So that's my plan for the next few hours. Then I'm going to relax in the evening, and then tomorrow it's Monday, and it's a new week of working and training and trying to have a good time living life. I wish you all a great Sunday and a great next week. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you around. Bye. And then, of course, how do we stop this? Save Violet. I guess I'll just cross it out. Let's see what happens.